Joining me now, former federal prosecutor Andrew McCarthy, contributing editor of National Review, great American, and it's great to have you here.
Thanks, Lou.
An extraordinary performance today by Rod Rosenstein before the Judiciary Committee, which has specific oversight over the FBI. I cannot believe how many times I heard, I can't answer that question, won't answer that question. We're waiting on the Inspector General's report. He seemed as if he's another one in the Justice Department, in addition to the Attorney General, who is merely presiding.
Well, certainly the way that the special counsel investigation that we have came to be was an instance of him being quite passive in what his duty was, which was to set parameters around that investigation. But I think the two things that I come away with from the testimony today are the idea that a Justice Department Inspector General investigation, which is fairly narrow, right, particularly compared to a regular investigation, is not supposed to be a substitute or a proxy in any way for Congress being able to do its oversight and get answers to these important questions on behalf of the people they represent. That's the way our government's supposed to work. The second thing is this precious reliance on these regulations about, whether people can give political contributions when they're... Look, I was a prosecutor. I was a very opinionated, politically prosecutor, and I gave donations from time to time, too. Usually, it doesn't make any difference. And in most cases, the regulations make perfect sense. But you're always supposed to have an independent obligation to avoid the appearance of impropriety. And if you know you are going into an investigation that's freighted with divisive partisan politics, if you're a partisan, it doesn't make you a bad person, but you should stay out of it. Right. And if you don't have the sense to stay out of it, they shouldn't recruit you in the first place.
Thousands upon thousands of DOJ attorneys and prosecutors. Why would you not choose one who was not so fraught with burdens of partisanship?
Or people from the outside. Mueller himself came from the outside. There's plenty of people like me. I'm not volunteering, believe me. But there's plenty of people who are just like me, who serve the Justice Department, know how to do this, and could get up and running quickly. He didn't need to take the people he took. And, Lou, it's a bigger problem that he took in this instance from the Obama Justice Department. Because what ought to be investigated here is whether the Obama administration put the law enforcement arms of government in the service of Hillary Clinton's political campaign. That's the big issue.
Is there any doubt at this point? I mean, is there any doubt?
I think the degree to which it happened and whether it was on the, whether they had good reasons for some of the investigation they did or not. Look, I don't get in front of what we know, and I don't know that we know everything we need to know yet. But I do know that we've spent a lot of time talking about collusion between Russia and Trump with very little evidence to rely on. Right.
No, I mean, literally no evidence by the FBI. No evidence turned up by any one of five investigating committees, 2 intelligence committees.
And look, to his credit, I want to be fair, Mueller has released 3 sets of charges so far. They don't name Trump. They don't allege any misconduct. There's nothing about collusion. There's nothing about Russia.
They have nothing to do with collusion with Russia, which was supposed to be what Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein was confining this special counsel to do.
Right. But we have parallel collusions here. And there's been a lot of attention paid with very little result to collusion between Trump and Russia. Mm-hmm. There's been no attention that I can detect paid to the question whether the government's investigative, law enforcement, and intelligence arms were put in the service of a partisan political campaign, which it appears to me that there's immense evidence that happened.
Yeah, there is so much evidence of it, as a matter of fact, that I think that there is, as Jim Jordan, Congressman Jordan has said, there should be an absolute second special counsel. Now, I have to tell you, I have some reservations because I'm not sure that adding more special counsels to this is the correct answer. But right now it does. Even the request says we have such an immense problem of corruption in the top of the FBI and the Department of Justice that we need to fix it. And that means to me, people need to be fired. They need to be, some of them, going to jail. Because what we are witnessing is awful conduct on the part of men and women who are supposed to be behaving according to the highest standards.
This needs to be scrubbed thoroughly. There's no question about it. I'm not as crazy as my friend Jim Jordan about the institution of the special counsel, because I think there's a better way to do it. I think you get a good, strong, independent U.S. attorney like Judge Mukasey did, for example, in the CIA interrogations case. Someone from outside of Virginia, outside of Washington, who can look at this thing and look at the conduct of our law enforcement and intelligence agencies through the 2016 campaign.
What if I said to you, I don't need to get an investigation. I already have the admission of Bruce Orr, the complicity of his wife, Nellie Orr, working for Fusion GPS, working for ostensibly the CIA on U.S. soil. For what purpose, we're told, Russia, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. You usually have, as John Le Carre used to say, a desk is a dangerous place from which to view the world. One would think that her proximate interests were somewhat more U.S.-oriented, i.e. the citizens of this country. And secondly, the number of times that we hear the OIG being deferred to by the man who is running the FBI, what are the possibilities that the OIG has been told to pick up this corrupt investigation and take it on yourself now? Is that possibly what we're looking at here?
Well, I don't think we should assume until we see otherwise that the IG is going to do anything but play it straight. And if he doesn't, we'll find out about it. But I do think it warrants a wider investigation. And I must say, the person here who could make everything happen a lot faster is President Trump.
Yeah.
He could compel these agencies to cooperate.
That's freighted with many, many imponderables and variables that have immense consequences that would unfairly and unduly return to him.
Can't be worse than this?
I think it's worth seeing where we're going to go with the special counsel. Then I think you take that Justice Department and you take every one of those SOBs and you introduce them to consequence for their nefarious activities. Is that unfair?
No, but I think we have a simple question. What happened with the dossier and the FISA application? Did they misuse the dossier?
Absolutely.
Well, we don't know that.
Yes,
that's
we
what,
do.
and we could find that out.
A Department of Justice official whose wife works for GPS, Fusion GPS, who works on that dossier, and whose specific interest is Russia, and Andrew Wood, the ambassador. I mean, we know there's other collusion, and it's theirs. Andrew McCarthy, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
We're staying on this FBI bias story of Peter Strzok and his text with Linda Page. They're now drawing the scrutiny of congressional investigators and other government officials. Here's another text from August 6th of last year. Lisa Page, maybe you're meant to stay where you are because you are meant to protect the country from that menace. We just brought that up in the last segment. We're staying on the story because it's important about the reaction and what they're saying to each other. Here's Peter Strzok. Thanks. It's absolutely true that we are both very fortunate. And of course, I'll try and approach it that way. I just know it will be tough at times. I can protect our country at many levels. Not sure if that helps. Joining me now from the American Center for Law and Justice, he is Jordan Sekulow. Jordan, they're calling Trump a menace. You know, people in government have their opinions, right? But there's it begs the question: should they be hauled in for testimony and for hearings to see, did you act on your hostility? Was there intent here?
Yeah, we believe there should be a special counsel appointed to investigate these individuals. Just like Bruce Orr, who was working with the team behind Fusion GPS with his wife there, that this all works together. Let's remember who put Peter Strzok in these positions of power, both to investigate Hillary Clinton, be there when Hillary Clinton gave her testimony to the FBI, ultimately helped edit Jim Comey's testimony. Oh, right. And then Jim Comey, again, put him in charge, Peter Strzok, of investigating and starting the Russia investigation. Remember, that investigation started in August of 2016. Before there was a special counsel, Liz, this was the guy leading up that investigation, showing extreme hostility to now the President of the United States, who he called the menace and used words and language I can't say on this broadcast, while when he was investigating Hillary Clinton and that for criminal activity, was saying she should win 100 million to 1. I mean, this is again, it's past just the deep state. It's past just, oh, the gross government bureaucracy. This gets to the point of potential criminal activity where you've got so many DOJ and FBI people involved that it kind of screams out for a special counsel in its own right.
You use the term criminal activity. Let's just stay in that for a second, because these are the lower level FBI agents. Peter Strzok is one of 25, right? The broad point is that most people in federal government are in a government union. Many of them voted for Hillary Clinton. If you look at the union exit polling, basically it's up to James Comey and the leadership to either act on getting rid of Peter Strzok or not. I mean, so in other words, government workers like FBI workers, they have their opinions, as Judge Napolitano says. They're not choir boys. Yep. But it's up to the leadership to take care of it. I'm not sure what you mean by criminal action here.
Well, here's where you get to draw a line. We wouldn't know about these texts without the Inspector General already looking into possible wrongdoing with the Hillary Clinton investigation. This was not an investigation of what Peter Strzok did during the Russia investigation. This goes back to, was there wrongdoing with how Jim Comey and the FBI and people like Peter Strzok, who may be one of 25, but was one of 25, Liz, who was chosen to edit Jim Comey's testimony, who is the person who changed his testimony from saying what Hillary Clinton did was from grossly negligent. So I believe the criminal activity this is where it becomes criminal.
Okay.
If you are in a conspiracy to undermine a person because you don't like them and you use government resources and your position of government power to do so, just like she said in that text, you've got to do something about that menace.
All right, Jordan,
that would be criminal.
We got to leave it there. Thank you, Jordan. Really appreciate it.